when you work on a multimedia set, you have 12 different screens that you have to operate. You have like 12 different bands that you have to operate, and they have to be tight. So somebody has to call the shots on these things, right? And it's that's what an art director, for example, does on the art scene. So that's that's something to be evaluated. You need somebody to step up and lead the way.
Well, it's an interesting point because right now we're in a pandemic, so obviously there's much more pressure. It's a crisis, and do you feel from your experience, because you have a very diverse background, that there are certain people from different industries or with different roles that are accustomed to the challenge of being a product owner, of managing these diverse groups that are working together? Anything you can add on that?
Absolutely. So in the field of the art scene, you call this person the art director, which is basically the person that facilitates communicating between the design department, communicating within the technology department, between the IT, which is also considered technology, with the administrators, with the accountants, with somebody who works with like very, very different teams and very many different, disciplines. These people exist and become directors for a reason. So in this case, it's the same process. It could be transferred from something that has to do with art or multimedia to suddenly like in the world of healthcare, how you can use this talent and these processes that are very well developed and put them into service for a different industry. It's the same process.
I find that really interesting, and that's great to know that people, let's say outside of this typical space, can come in, jump in, and use their experience that they gained from something else immediately in this context. Do you think that there are any barriers to overcome those people moving in, or how do you make that happen in such a short time? If that's something new for, let's say, in the healthcare space, I'm sure they're not used to art directors. Let's say being part of the decor, yeah. Right? How do you make it so that everyone understands that this is actually a really good idea and can move forward with that?
Right. So there's a natural flow to this when it's put into place that we're going to be looking for. I think the first thing is stepping egos aside and being able to handle high pressure. So high pressure is lived in the again in the multimedia scene because everything has to be tight. The visuals have to be on time. There has to be no technical challenges. There has to be absolutely no failure on the lighting. The sound has to come in the right time. Right. The event quality is very important. And you have teams of 30, 40, 60 people that work together to make this 1 8-minute as critically clinically presented in the original scenario as possible. In this case, this process could be a little bit more flexible because you have users who have to give feedback, but there's a clear alliance between the science processes, the workshop facilitation, and all that to work together with the users.